Welcome, everybody, to September's Read What You Want book club discussion. And I guess first order of business is that I'll say next month's meeting is scheduled for October 8th. And it is a traditional book club. And we're going to do Demon Copperhead
Oh, God.
by Barbara Kingsolver.
What's the first word?
That sounded great, Carol.
Yeah, well, you know what? My problem is I read these books so far in advance and I will not go back and read them again. So, I read it when it came out. How many thousands of days ago?
It did come out in 2022. It's called Demon Copperhead, Rona.
Oh, demon, D-E-M, demon?
O-N.
Oh, okay.
D-E-M-O-N.
Copperhead?
Copperhead, C-O-P-P-E-R.
What about a snake or something?
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm not going to talk about the book. We'll save that till next month.
Okay.
But it's it's by Barbara Kingsolver, and it's inspired by David Copperfield by Dickens. If you want to get highfalutin about it.
What's the author again? The author,
Barbara Kingsolver.
That was Poisonwood Bible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's written a ton of books. Poisonwood Bible and The Bean Trees are two of the big ones that a lot of people know. And generally, she's kind of a safe bet. I have not read her book before Demon Copperhead, I believe, was called Unsheltered. And I heard a lot of mixed reviews about Unsheltered. But other than that, she's usually a safe bet. And Demon Copperhead won, I want to say it won the Pulitzer in 2023.
Oh, okay.
It won a big award in 2023. Again, I don't have notes in front of me because that's for next month. Notes. Me operating off of notes is for next month. But it's not a small book. So, it's not enormous, but it's also not a page turner, like crazy fast read either. So to let you know in advance.
That's all we're getting, it seems.
Pardon?
Well, that's all we're getting, because I just read a book that was 620 pages in German.
I didn't assign that to you. You can't blame that one on me.
I hope you're not going to recommend it.
The one before, that was 500 and something.
The one before was
not yours.
Hamnet.
No, the one I'm talking about that I read this time. I had such a hard time.
You're doing it to yourself, Heidi.
I know. I had nothing else at home, and I have a whole stack of books on the floor that have to disappear. So, anyway.
I love a long book. If the book is good, I'm so happy it's long. I don't want it to end.
I know.
But then you never know,
Exactly.
I think it's the only person who read the Barbara Streisand book that I know of.
I read it. Yeah, I read it.
That's what I'm saying.
Word.
I think the same person.
When I tried to lift it,
and if you're reading it and you're in bed and it falls over, it wakes you up. No,
or it knocks you out properly.
Yeah, it was.
All right. Who wants to get us started with what they've been reading? I guess Heidi with her 8 million page German book.
Well, no, I read several. For once, I read a book that I picked up in one of these Renaissance bookstores, and it was called, oh God, what was it called? The Radio Operator by Ulla Lenz. That was not in German, that was actually in English. And it was one of these stories about some guy who didn't really know quite what he's doing. He was in New York, and at the beginning of the Second World War, and without knowing, he was actually getting messages from Germany, passing it on to some people in New York, and they were actually working for Germany. It was really a dumb book, I thought. Well, it was not well written. I got sort of mixed up in the names, but at the same time, I had a really bad bronchitis. So I wasn't feeling well. So maybe that's why I didn't. So I don't recommend it.
So we should all stay away from The Radio Operator by Ulla Lenz. Check.
Okay. The other one that I've had in my library for some time and never read was called Purple for Sky by Carol Bruno. And it was similar to the story we had about the family that came over from England. And it was interesting. They came to the Maritimes. I think they were in New Brunswick. I couldn't quite figure out that. I wasn't very with everything this time. Again, a book over 500 pages and a family story. They were not very well off. They started some businesses, and basically it dealt eventually with Alzheimer's disease because the old aunt got Alzheimer and the problems there. Another book that, I wasn't really terribly fond of.
Okay.
But this is when I decided I have to go back to my German library. I don't have much left because there were a couple of books that I haven't read ever. They have been sitting there for the last probably 30 years or longer. So I read a book that was made into a film. The film title is Vienna Melodies. The book originally in English would be The Angel with the Trumpet. And that is an extraordinarily good book. But like I say, 620 pages. It was published in 1944, and the print is very small. It took me forever. But it's a book about Vienna starting in 1880. And it's very political in part, tells you everything about the monarchy. And when, I don't know if you know that the crown prince killed himself, and then about the fall of the monarchy. But it's also a very philosophical book about Vienna and how the Austrians are different from the Germans. And it goes all the way into the Anschluss, when the Germans moved into Austria and took it over. And it was a very interesting book. I really enjoyed it. But of course, I really enjoyed it because it was so Viennese. I don't know how they could have possibly made a film out of it because, there's a lot of in the book. It's very well written. It's a very famous author, Ernst Lothar. I'm sure you should have him in the library somewhere because he wrote a lot of stuff. He was Jewish and eventually he left after he had a short stint in the camps. He went to the States and he lived there until the end of the war, and then he went back. But again, I read it in German. I don't even know I think it's published in English. And it's a really, really good story about Vienna, what's happening, the way they live, the way I really love the book. But as I say, it probably wouldn't be too much of an interest to people, like you. I don't know.
It might just deepen our understanding too of Viennese culture.
It does, because it is really different. It's about extramarital affairs, and especially during the time of Habsburg. Habsburg's what's going on in the aristocracy, and And then afterwards, how, people sort of welcomed the Germans, but a lot of people didn't. And, the it's actually a book about a house where a family lives that has been in that house. The family's descendants have lived there since the 17th century. And, and there's several families, and, the friction with the Nazis coming in between family members. I really enjoyed the book very much. It was hard reading. German is a complicated language. I have totally forgotten. I mean, a sentence can last a half a page. They sort of, I don't know how they do it. They sort of push sentence after sentence into one sentence. It was not easy to read because I'm not used to it anymore. But it was interesting, and I personally enjoyed the book very much, and it gave me a lot of insight into certain things that I know well anyway, but it was just sort of put open to me why and how things work.
Well, for those of you who are interested in it, it looks like the library owns it in French, but not in English.
Yeah, I would be. Yeah, that would be it. As I say, in English, it was translated into English.
It looks like it was, and it is called Vienna Melody.
Yes, it's called Vienna Melodies. And
the translation.
on the internet, you find tons of things about the film, because apparently the film was very, very popular in the States.
Okay.
They made a film, I think in the 60s. 50s or 60s.
Well, I'm glad you had at least one win of your books that you
Yes.
read, Heidi.
Yeah.
Have you did you been watching PBS Vienna Blood or Vienna Blue, or it's a program that takes place in the same time that you're talking about? Have you ever seen it on PBS?
No, it's called what? Vienna Blue?
Vienna something or other, and it's a PBS program. When they show the newspaper, it's in German, but the language is English, and it's the people speak English. It's about a Jewish family who lives in at that time, and he's a psychologist, learning a student of Freud, and it's you could see things are happening, and it's just before, let's say 1936, 1935, and what the society was like. It's Vienna. Oh my God.
Vienna Blood.
Vienna Blood.
Vienna Blood.
Vienna Blood. Is it currently showing? No.
Yeah, it looks like
it's going to be on it. I guess it's going, because the thing is, I knew, what did I call it? Vienna Blue. Okay. I was just looking it up on my phone. I wrote Vienna Blood, but it comes out no results. So it's I don't know how to look it up. How did you find it? I looked up Vienna Blood, no results. It's very good.
So it looks like it started in 2019. I just looked up Vienna and PBS because you knew that. So Vienna Blood, it looks like it started in 2019, and they just started their 4th season.
It's very
at
well
the beginning of August.
It's very well done, and you would love it because it's your time. That's it.
I know it's my time.
Not your time, but like the time that you're looking at right there.
It is my time. I was born in 1938, so in a way it's my time. But I don't know. I haven't seen it. I have 2 PBS channels: the one in upstate New York and the one in Vermont. And
that's all I have. I don't have anything special, but when it comes back, yeah, watch it because it's wonderful.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Toby, what have you got for us?
I have to leave soon. You know, I have this program that comes on at 11 o'clock. I read a couple of biographies. One by Whoopi Goldberg, very interesting, and another one by Tiffany Haddish. You know her?
Yeah, I thought that you had read something by her before.
No, I don't believe so. No. This is hers.
Yeah, that's she wrote another one. I thought you read something
I
about
don't
Black
remember
Unicorn.
the first one. No,
No, that wasn't her. But
no.
she wrote, I
I've
thought she wrote
seen her a
another
few
one.
times on Netflix and in different programs and stuff like that. You know, I find that these comedians, they had tragedy in their lives and they just overcame it and were able to make something of themselves. Very, very interesting, both of them.
Did you read The Fawns, the one that Fawns wrote? That was, because you said they overcame things. He couldn't even read. It was a
Yeah.
very good biography.
The Fallen.
Who,
No,
Carol?
The
Who?
Fawns, the
Oh,
Henry
everybody talks
Winkler.
Oh,
about that.
yes,
I've heard that.
Henry.
That's
Yes, I
good.
read his as well. Yes,
interesting.
his was good. And I also read John Stamos.
Yeah.
Oh,
Interesting also.
Yeah, I could have sworn that you had also read, maybe it was Carol, the other Carol without an E, who had read The Last Black Unicorn, I think it was, or
Yeah,
was
that's what
Tiffany
I thought too, but I
Haddish's
didn't read
first one.
that. I didn't read The Last Black Unicorn. She really had a lot of tragedy in her life. Unbelievable what she overcame.
Which she, she, Toby, I'm confused now. Who?
Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish.
is she a comedian? Who is she?
She is a comedian and she's in a
Oh,
lot of programs, a lot of different
An actress.
oh, I
Yeah.
don't know her.
Netflix.
Yeah, one of the most recent
Is
TV shows that
the
she's
after
been on.
party? The after party?
Yeah, that's one of the most recent TV shows that she's been on Apple TV is The After Party, and it's like a
Oh,
murder mystery. So
A
it's had
murder
two
mystery.
two seasons,
I
and it's
saw
called
that.
The After Party.
Yeah, that was good too. And she was in the Lego Movie 2, Night School. I just saw that one recently.
Girls Trip, right? Wasn't that her big one?
Girls Trip was one of them. Yeah, I think she started with that one. Yeah. She also has a Black Mitzvah. It's
is she black? Is she a black woman?
black, both of
Black
them.
comedian?
Both she
Whoopi
and
Goldberg. Mhm.
Whoopi's story was interesting too.
Oh,
Different from hers. Whoopi had a mother who tried to do the best that she could for her kids. Took them to
it's
different.
funny. They say that comedians make wonderful dramatic actors. They're always laughing and making jokes, but they're wonderful, wonderful serious actors. I don't know why they say that happens a lot with these comedians. They have a side to them that's very dramatic and serious. It's interesting to hear that.
Last Friday, I went to see the movie The Color Purple at the library, and Whoopi Goldberg was the doctor who delivered Ceely's baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she had a small part in that.
Mm-hmm.
Roseanne, I was looking for you. I thought maybe you'd come to the movie. I have some beads for you.
Yes, I saw it. I only saw it after. I didn't notice
I
it.
had a feeling. Yeah. Anyway, I'm
So
going to leave you people. I have to go, and I thank
Yeah.
you for everyone getting together, and see you again sometime.
see you again soon, Toby. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, Toby.
Thank you, Katie. Bye.
Well, I'm sticking my nose in here in case I
Do it.
have to leave soon. I don't know if Carol recommended it, Carol Blank, or you did,
I
Katie.
loved that one.
Tomorrow and tomorrow.
I loved
Yes,
it.
I loved it. And the only reason I was able to get it is because my daughter had bought it because I'd still be waiting with the library for it. I loved it. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. I don't know why I loved it. I think because I didn't know anything about the gaming video industry. I didn't know anything about it. I mean, all I only knew was that when my son was like 14, he was playing these video games, but not like this. This is like, it's like Dungeons and Dragons on steroids. Is that what it is? I mean, I don't know because I remember Dungeon and Dragon, but it was like brilliant. These people are brilliant. I just thought it was a wonderful learning experience about this new well, it's not new, but to me it was because I didn't know anything about it. And also the storyline with it was very good. You know, that storyline between the three of them, you know, and how long they knew each other and the whole thing. But I don't know. Did you read it, Carol? You read it, Katie, right? Did you read it,
I
Carol?
read it.
Sure.
And what do
Absolutely.
you think?
You're right. There's a lot of history in there that, you know, it's not history as we see history. It's more
Exactly.
updated history, and it's what these kids do. It's amazing.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
that's what just got me, the brilliance of them. It's like unbelievable. It was so fascinating. You know, it's like Silicon Valley, I guess, on steroids, you know,
Well,
this
this
is
is like it's like
unbelievable.
showing like giving us a little window into
Mm.
a kind of niche area that we were not familiar with, right?
I'm still trying to
Exactly.
learn how to use my phone.
But at the
You're
same
younger,
time, it was
Katie.
really accessible because it had great character development. It was really
Yeah,
interesting. It's depictions of like the personal relationships and like the personal
yeah.
histories of the individual characters. I think I did, I think one of my, when I was still doing book reviews for this group, I think that I talked about that one at one point, and I'd said like, I wouldn't have thought like if I had just known about if someone had just given me the storyline, I would have been like, um,
Yeah,
but I picked it up
exactly.
because it was one of those hot new releases that was, everyone was talking about the when it came out, and I did really enjoy it.
What was the
And you're
date on it,
younger than
Katie?
all of us. Did you
When
know
was it?
anything about
What I think it
Sorry.
must have been 2022.
Oh, okay.
Um,
All right, not important.
no, but otherwise it'll bother me forever.
Ah,
You're younger,
Yeah,
Katie. You
2022.
didn't know anything about the game. What if you
Well,
know
I
about the
wasn't a
game?
big I've never been a big gamer. I mean,
Mm.
video games. I played
well,
Super Mario. I had a Nintendo, but I'm
Nintendo.
still
yeah.
sort of at the cusp of that generation, I guess, that it wasn't a big deal for me. Like I'm more of a board games person and
Mm.
just very run of the mill, obvious video games. I know my nephew plays a lot of real-time
Mm.
games, and I know people who have done it for like as a job.
As a
And one of
job.
my friends' kids is very, very into computer games right now, or one in particular.
Oh.
And like, it's not something that is in my sphere. So I also learned.
I like a book where you learn something, you know, when I come away from it and like I've learned something I didn't know. Like that to me is part of the reading experience, you know. And then I'm in the middle of it, from the ridiculous to the sublime of the next best thing, Jennifer Weiner. You know, she writes, you know, it's like so different from this tomorrow, tomorrow, and tomorrow. But after reading tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, I think I needed a book like this, you know, a
And
light,
I mean,
fluffy.
Jennifer Weiner, I've read several of her books, and most of them I've enjoyed. There are a
Yeah,
few that fell really flat for me, um, but I mean, we can read all kinds. There are all
yeah,
kinds of different
exactly.
reasons. I was making my
Exactly.
list of like, oh, what have I read recently? And I was looking, and I really am a little bit all over the place too, which I'll get to. But it's nice to have that balance between heavier and lighter, I
Yeah.
think. Roseanne, what have you been reading?
I remember. I told you well now I'm making jewelry because I have a whole bunch of shows coming up. So I really that's what I'm doing. But what I really what was what I I spoke I guess to you, I think I did, that a book I picked up from the library, I told you was never read. And you said, well, it could be because it was replaced, and that's why it may be new, but I'm just saying it's a book that was never read by anybody. I see the spine had never
Thanks for
and
calling, Alana.
4-year-old.
She's
It was a
not coming
4-year-old
in.
book, but it was very Body to Spare, which was about somebody, the and just what happened to be an overweight heroine. But that's not the whole idea. But I'm just saying, the idea was that I thought maybe if there was any way the library could check to see an relatively in the let's say in the last 5 years, which books in the library have never been touched. And you said that it wouldn't be able to be done, right?
Well,
I
I
thought
said I
that would
wasn't.
be interesting if.
Sorry, I said I
Sorry.
wasn't sure that we could because we did that system change about 2 years ago. So I'm not sure how much of, but yeah, the,
But I
like
would think if let's say we got a list of, let's say, 20 books of that have never been taken out of the library, even more recent books, let's say from 2023, the books that have not been, and this is it. We have to read one of those books to see, maybe there's a reason why it was never been read. But I find that it's sad that there are books out there that are, because Body is to Spare was adorable,
yeah.
and nobody
Sorry,
read it.
what
But
was it called again, Roseanne?
Body to Spare. You probably wouldn't be interested in it because it's usually a character. Well, because the front cover is also an overweight person. Who's going to read it? They made they. I understand that they so that, but I don't think too many be attracted to it. But still, I just thought maybe there, like you were saying, that many books that you've read that nobody's interested in too.
Yeah.
That's really, it bothered me to open it up, and that's what I do with the library. I open up the books to see if they look really new, the ones I take out, just to see.
But this is
But
having
that's what I
worked
thought.
for. Oh, we lost Carol, but
Yeah.
hopefully she'll come back. This is having worked at the library for the last 15 some years, and then in independent bookstores for probably about 10 years before that. Oh, sorry, just got an email from Carol. She's sorry she can't sit still right now. She said that she can't remember the names of any of her books anyway that she's read, even though she's gone through a bunch. I have some of the names of the books that she's read because she's been writing to me about the different books that she's read. So
She has good choice. I like her choices.
I will share her recommendations recently. She'd emailed me. Wait, first things first. I said I wasn't firing on all cylinders before. To the books that get neglected. So having worked at the library for however many years and then in bookstores before, one of the things that we would talk about is like the hand selling of books, in which I would probably use the same terminology at the library. And that's like these books that you come across that you've never heard of, or that are, they're not the ones that are on the New York Times bestseller list. They're not that you can then hand to someone because you read it and that this is going to fit their wants. And sometimes it's like at the library, especially, it does end up being older books because people come in and they only want new books.
Mhm.
They want whatever's come out in the last 2 years. Now, there's no way that you can have read everything that's come out in any given year. So chances are there are some hidden gems in there. And that's at the library. Like, I know that I've had different patrons come in and they've just discovered an author, and then they're reading their books from, the 80s and 90s because they've just discovered this person who comes out with books every few years. Not a huge like bestseller necessarily, but it's something that speaks to them for whatever reason. With bookstores, working in bookstores, it was always more newer books. But again, there are those books that come in under the radar. Usually they're a little bit weird in some way or another, but that's the joy of reading, is discovery, right? So it's maybe we should all, instead of saying like a book that hasn't come out of the library, or that's never circulated, because this is it again, is that my opinion is that some books are published and the world would have been just fine without them. We don't have to read every book that comes out. But of the, say 2 or 3 titles that you go to the library or to the bookstore looking for that, because you've heard about it, then try, especially at libraries, try one that just for whatever reason, one that you've never heard of, that you're just gonna pick up at random and see what that bit of serendipity brings you. If it's a good thing or a bad thing, who knows?
Well,
Okay.
do you sell some of these at your book sale? Some of
Oh,
those books, because the book about the radio operator, I actually bought at the book sale at the library, and it looked like nobody had ever looked at
well,
it.
those are donations. So we receive donations from people. So it's
Oh, I
more than
see.
what's more possible for if it was in the book sale was that it had belonged to someone who took very, very good care of their books. Like we had this one lovely patron who passed away, unfortunately, a few years ago. And he had an amazing collection of, well, actually, Gary Fagan. So is his name. And so we've named our science fiction and fantasy sections after him. The Gary Fagan collection, the Gary Fagan fantasy collection, the Gary Fagan science fiction collection. And because he was a great, great lover of fantasy and sci-fi. He read everything though. But one of the things that his family did was after he passed, they donated his collection to us, and his books were pristine. And I know that he read them, but they were pristine. It looked like he was one of those people who was very careful with his books, like he would say read them like this as opposed to
Right. With white gloves on, I guess.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. So there are some people who are just very, very careful, I think. Okay. I said that I would tell you Carol's recommended read. So she wrote to me about, well, sometime in the last few weeks, and she said, I'm having bad luck. Every book that I get is, or every book that I've been picking up hasn't been of interest. And let's see. In the last few weeks, she has recommended um, Diva, which was about Maria Callas.
All
She
right.
read The Seamstress of New Orleans, The Paris Notebook. She asked me to set some books aside for her, is what she had done. Um, and what else? Oh, she's reading The Figurine, which she wasn't getting into. It had a lot of Greek history in it. Um, and The Oud Player of Cairo. So she went on a bit of a winning streak, she said.
Good player. Oh my God. I heard that word. Oh my goodness.
What?
I heard going back a long time ago. I was
Okay.
on my trips to Israel. I met this guy who made ouds.
Oh,
Yeah,
You made what? What's that word you're saying?
ouds. I don't know how to spell in English. I don't know how we. I never heard it spelled. But so this is a book written about the oud player.
yeah. So it's O-U-D is how it's spelled.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Oh,
And it's an instrument, a musical instrument?
yeah.
but not a guitar, right?
Not
I
no,
didn't.
it's a particular, it is a kind of musical instrument to the best of my understanding, but I had never heard of it until I read about it from the title of this book.
Oh,
Guitar, and not a guitar, but
A
it's
stringed
made.
instrument.
It's
a
that's
string.
what he did. He made ouds, and he lived in the town of Tiberias. Very very creative. So
Oh,
yeah, and he played it too, obviously.
well, so
But
maybe one for you for next time.
oh, player,
The book, The Oud Player of Cairo.
Sounds interesting.
Well, I mentioned that I have been a little bit all over the place, which I have been. I have read I read a book called The Road to Roswell by Connie Willis. It has aliens in it. It's a bit of an odd one. It starts, it's this woman she's on her way to Nevada to her best friend's wedding with the intention of stopping the wedding of like remind because she thinks that her friend's marrying a nut job who believes in aliens and stuff, and she's this friend of hers just has terrible apparently taste in men and often ends up with just kind of nut cases, and so then this friend comes and she realizes that it's a terrible idea, and so like we'll call off whatever huge life change was happening. But before she can have this quality time with her friend and sort of direct her a little bit more towards a rational sort of path, she's abducted by an alien. So
Oh my God, you're kidding.
anyway,
Oh
so
my.
it was very cute. It was an enjoyable read. So that was The Road to Roswell by Connie Willis. I also read um, Dave Grohl, who's a musician, his memoir, The Storyteller. It was very enjoyable. So Dave Grohl was the drummer for Nirvana and is the frontman for the Foo Fighters. My brother had recommended this book to me, and so years ago, or some time ago in the past, we know my concept of time isn't great, so I finally did read it, and it was very enjoyable. Um, Then I also read The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. So a light one. Like I said, I like to balance the light and the weird and the heavier things. So the rom-commers, sorry, Catherine Center, she wrote also Things You Save in a Fire and How to Walk Away. Uh, Light, romancy, nothing special, but also just like it hit the spot that I needed for that particular period. I think I might have read that one right after Hamnet. Um, I read The Henna Artist. Did either of you read that? By
Is
Alka
that good?
Joshi? Yeah, I think that someone spoke about it at some point in our group.
Yeah, it
The
sounds
way that
familiar.
Alka Joshi writes um really like it it's very vibrant. So you kind of like you taste the tastes and you smell the smells and you see the color. It was good. And it's the first of three. So there's that one, The Perfumist of Paris, and another one that I'm forgetting, but I haven't read the other two yet. And then my sister-in-law, who I had told you about before that she hated Hello Beautiful.
Mhm.
She recommended a book called Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone.
Oh, I think somebody mentioned that to me. I think it was you, actually. Did you send it in an email?
I don't think so, because I had read, so when
Somebody
she
told me.
started talking about it, Roseanne, I'm glad you're back because I think that you might like this one. Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone is a book that I'm talking about right now. It's by Benjamin Stevenson, an Australian. Um, and it's light and told in such a way that it follows certain rules of mystery novels. So it's sort of clever that way, but it's sort of interesting the way that it's told. I had previously read though another book called How to Kill Your Whole Family.
Oh, that's one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so when my sister-in-law Mary was talking about this book, Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, I was like, oh, I read it. And then I was like, no, I didn't.
Mm.
And then the other book I haven't read yet, but I'm very excited to read it, is the newest book by Claire Lombardo, called Same as It Ever Was. So Claire Lombardo wrote a book that I think I talked about maybe, well, one of the last Read What You Want,
Oh,
called The Most
ja,
Fun We
ich
Ever
bin im
Had.
Augenblick bei meinem Bookclub.
So it was which I
Okay,
really, really enjoyed the writing of it. So I'm looking forward to this new book, Same as It Ever Was by Claire Lombardo. A little bit
Same
all
as
over
it
the
ever
place.
was or safe? Same or safe
Same,
as it ever?
same.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it just came out. You will probably, Rona, be on a list for it.
Yeah, for sure, for a couple of years.
Yes. Ich kann das nur am Mittwoch machen, I don't know. Ja, vielleicht kann ich
And
das.
Katie, can you just say The Road to Roswell?
The Road to Roswell, yeah, by Connie Willis.
Yeah,
Connie Willis. So I'm gonna look for that one, I think.
It was, I mean, it has an interesting cast of characters. It was like it's a bit of a road trip comedy with alien
That sounds,
and
yeah.
heart.
That
Like
sounds
it,
like fun, you know?
yeah, it's a sweet, I enjoyed it. It's a nice book. So, Roseanne, you weren't here at the beginning, so I'm going to tell you now. I'm going to re-announce before we stop the recording. I'll re-announce that our next book club will be a traditional book club taking place October 8th. And it will be for the book Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. And I will send reminders about those to everyone on the mailing list. And I will, oh, yes, Heidi, would you like to?
finish, and then I have a question.
Okay. So thank you everyone for joining. I am stopping the recording and we'll see you next time.